When my brother Bailey and I were growing up, we spent most of our childhood being shipped back and forth. My Aunt Teresa, we called Aunt T, worked over for 30 years as a live-in housekeeper. And I learned a lot about life from listening to the stories of my Aunt T. My favorite story was about when she worked as a live-in housekeeper for a couple in Bel Air, California. My Aunt T, every Saturday night, she would cook up a big boiling pot of pig's feet, a big pot of greens, fried chicken, potato salad, and banana pudding. Then she would invite all of her friends over to the living quarters, and they would eat and drink and sing and dance and tell jokes and play cards, and they would laugh. But then one Saturday night, her employers came to the door and asked to speak to Aunt T. And he said, "Now, Teresa, we don't want to bother you or anything, but we can hear you laughing, and you and your friends sound like you're having such a great time. We just want to listen." And the lady said, "Teresa, we don't want to bother you at all, but we just hear you laughing so hard. And if you could keep the door cracked just a little bit, we'd just like to sit out here and watch you and listen to you. You don't even have to tell your friends we're doing it. We'll be really quiet." Well, Aunt T went back and asked her friends, and they all agreed it would be okay. But they also agreed that it was a really sad situation for her employers. Here they lived in this grand 14-room mansion with a swimming pool in the backyard. They had palm trees everywhere. They had 3 cars, a chauffeur, gardeners, maids, and with all of that, they had no joy. What I realized from Miss T's stories is that living well is an art that can be developed. You just have to have a few basic skills. 1, you have to have a love life.
All right.
Amen. 2, you have to have the ability to enjoy pleasures, great pleasures from small things. You also have to know that the world owes you nothing. Everything is a gift, simply a gift. You also have to realize that people with racial, sexual, political differences from you can be lots of fun, and they can be great friends. We often forget that life is an ongoing adventure. Life is an adventure from birth until death. And the sooner we realize that, the quicker we can begin to make life an art. We have to remember that we are created creatures, and that we can invent our own scenario as many times as we want to.
Good evening. Speaking of adventures, Dr. Angelo, before the poetry, before the writing, before the civil rights engagement, Mother was serving you shoulders and hips as a calypso dancer and singer and performer. So today I'll be sharing with you one of my favorites, entitled Rancho. Low, 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 in the way, oh. Joe, Joe, Joey, Joey, Mo and Joe run the can stove, rugging folks up the Hondo. Cops grab Mo and Joe ran out. Brother Mo keep the can shout. Run Joe, oh the man won't let me go. Run Joe, the man's at the door. Run Joe, as fast as you can. Run Joe, the man he holding me hand. Joe, 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 Joey, Joey, Joe, 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 Joey, Joey, hide the crystal ball by the fence so they won't find evidence. Get somebody to tell a lie so they have me an alibi. Hurry home and get in the bed. at the doctor and tie your head. Get somebody to post my bail, so I won't sit in this rotten jail. Run, Joe, oh, the man's at the door. Run, Joe, the man, he won't let me go. Run, Joe, run as fast as you can. Run, Joe, the man, he holding me hand. Low, 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 Joe, Joe, Joey, Joey. When they take me before the sarge, I am going to deny the charge. When they ask me how I feel, not guilty, judge, most decidedly. As you can see upon first glance, I am a victim of circumstance. Run, Joe, oh, the man's at the door. Run, Joe, the man, he won't let me go. Run, Joe, fast as you can. Run, Joe, the police holding me hand. Ain't your mama done told ya? Ain't your mama done scold ya? Ain't your mama done warned ya? See them cops, you better run, boy. Run, Joe, run, Joe, run, Joe, oh. Run, Joe, the police is catching up with Joe. Joe, run too slow. Joe, run too slow.
In 1960, I fell in love with a man. He was a South African activist and he was stationed in Cairo. He sent for me and my son. When we arrived in Cairo, he had the furniture all decked out. Oriental rugs and the most beautiful wall paintings I have ever seen in my life. Several months later, I found out everything is past due. They came and pulled the rugs from under our feet, the pictures off the wall. My son's tuition was past due and he ain't even paid the maid. I knew I ain't had no money, so I had to give me a job. He looked at me and he said, you foolish woman, you. You think it's so easy to get a job here in Cairo? Good women do its work. So, you foolish woman. It shows the arrogance of you and the arrogance of you American people. But I remember the hard times in which I endured in the States. I was a single mother, and I spent many nights educating myself in the local library. So I knew I couldn't wallow in my self-pity. I got up and I found me a job. I found me a job as an editor at a local newspaper. And to my surprise, they welcomed me with open arms, smile on their face, and even a pot of tea. Man, I tell you, I grinned, I showed up grinned. It came from the depths of my soul and the back of my knees. I knew I showed my love just then. I felt like the bear rabbit. Y'all know the bear rabbit? The one who was always cunning enough to outsmart anyone who crossed his path.
The meanest thing. I mean the baddest thing. I am going to make you cry. I am going to make you scream. I am going to make you wish God never put breath in that little rabbit body. me in the process.